My name is Young Savoye. I'm an audio engineer. I mix and master, and I produce as well. And this is Rapper Getting the Game. I grew up in Brooklyn, New York, from Fort Greene. Grew up in the projects with my grandma, my mom. Dad was there here and there. I don't know. As a kid, always loved like playing around. Had a wide imagination. In terms of music, it was actually my mom that like forced me to play violin. Didn't want to do it. I was like 7 years old, and I did it for about 2 years. And then when I turned 9, my music teacher, I'm blanking on his name, he basically like had the kids who were like excelling in terms of orchestra sign up for auditions for Juilliard's music advancement program. Got in, was the only one from my school to get in, and then spent like 2-3 years there, and was pretty much always like first or second chair in orchestras growing up, and that's how I got my start in terms of music. I mean, at first, anybody who starts out playing violin is gonna sound fucking awful at the start. It was a lot of screeching and didn't sound good. God bless my mom for getting through those first 2 years or whatever. If you want to be good at really anything in life, but anything in terms of music, like you have to be obsessed with it. Like you have to be constantly researching, constantly practicing. A lot of things that I do now, I was doing then. And really, I don't know, it just kept my mind sharp and just exposed me to like a lot of different kinds of music. And like I got to perform at a bunch of dope different venues, and I don't know, it just taught me a lot about what it means to be a musician or just like be a creative. But it's always given me a good ear for melody, and I've always had like good relative pitch because of it. I don't have perfect pitch, thank God. That seems like a hard life to live. If something's off, it's grating to you. But it's always given me a melodic ear, like melody first, and that's been a through line in my life, because now when I'm like helping artists or like vocal coaching them, or if I can just tell, I can just tell if something's off, and it's usually because of pitch, and if not pitch, probably because of timbre, like just like how they're hitting their voice. And with violin, it's super similar too, just because even if you're a little bit off, like you can just, you can tell if something's gonna work or if it isn't gonna work. And if you play a note that's off, you might have to play the next one a little bit off too, to kind of get back to where you're supposed to be. So similar to how like a vocalist, like if they're doing something intentionally, like if they're riding off the beat, they kind of have to stay off until they come back or whatever. So, it's been that building block that's helped me as I learned other instruments and like helped artists discover their voices. In terms of like my family lineage, my mom, she's African American, born and raised in Brooklyn, and then her family comes from the South, like around the Carolinas, specifically North Carolina. My dad is basically like half West African, half Indian. So in terms of what he exposed me a lot to is a lot of like, it was a lot of dance hall and a lot of reggae is what I listened to growing up. And then on my mom's side, hella like 90s R&B, like 80s rock. And then my brother, who's 7 years older than me, was like sneaking like 50 Cent mixtapes they like get from Full Street like into the house. We both like share a vivid memory of like our mom like throwing a Jay-Z CD out of the window. This is like vulgar music, blah blah blah, whatever. She just like found his like stash of CDs. Cause he was also a big Eminem fan at the time, cause like he was like really into like writing raps, and I understand why you wouldn't want your kid listening to Eminem. Like I truly do understand. But she's just like, yo, what the fuck? Like I told you not to not to listen to any of this stuff. So the CD she had taken from him, as well as the other ones she like threw out, but like a Jay-Z one, she like, cause we like lived a few stories above train tracks, like right above the Q train, she like threw it and I got to hit the tracks or whatever. Like, so, even outside of all that though, like that's my musical background. It's just like a lot of different kinds of Black music. And then like as I got older, I discovered like alternative music and indie, but I just had like a good basis of, here's a wide overview of like what music, specifically like Black music, which you could argue is all music. Like, so it's just always been a part of my life. And I like hated it until I was like 14 or 15. I discovered FL and music production and so on and so forth. But that's the real short version of my story as to how we got here. Hey, from New York to Chicago at private stock. All right, so boom. It's my last year of high school. I know I want to like do music. At the time I was an artist, but also like doing production and engineering stuff as well. I'm just like, I just want to make a living out of this. And basically like nobody really had the tools to like help me do what I wanted to do. There were teachers being like, that's not feasible. Like, you're gonna have to do stuff in life you don't want to do, which is true. But they're also just like, yo, like, that's not happening. Like, you need to find something else. And I was just like, no. And I really didn't have like a clear path in terms of figuring out what kind of school I could go to. So I basically ended up going to Northeastern in Boston for a year, studying music industry. Didn't hate the school as much as like I hated Boston. Like, it just wasn't for me. From New York, what do you expect? Like it just wasn't for me. And also just like, I don't know, the kind of racism I ran into up there was just like way different than like in New York, because like I felt like I could check somebody back in the crib, versus like up in Boston, I'm like, oof, man, these Irish boys, I don't know, like I'm not from here, like, so I'm not finna shoot out the roof because I'm literally not from here. I don't know how deep y'all are. They're also like hella frats and all that too. So I was just like, this just isn't my scene. A person I was dating at the time, she happened to be going to SAIC, like the Art Institute. And I came out to visit for Halloween weekend. I was like, oh shit, Chicago's dope. I made some cool connections. And by like the middle of December, I knew like I gotta get out of Boston. This was 2015. Yeah, this is 2015. This is What a Time to Be Alive. Yeah, Future's on a hot streak. Travis just dropped Rodeo. Yes, 2015. So I started looking at schools, applied like Cal Arts in LA, USC in South LA, NYU in the New School, New York. And then I think I typed in like audio production or maybe mixing school or something like that. And like Columbia happened to show up. And I heard about it a couple of times when I was out here. Family friends, my girl's mom at the time was like, you shouldn't leave the school you're at because it's like a really well-known name. You got a full ride, blah, 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 whatever. But again, me, I was like, fuck that. I gotta do what I gotta do. So Columbia just seemed like the best option. I felt like if I went to LA, I would have lost myself, which is true. I didn't want to go back to the crib because I was just like, man, I want to see something else outside of New York. And so I applied to Columbia, got in, did a tour before and all that, of course, just to make sure I liked it. And it seemed like it was a good fit. And then after that, did like a year of classes, started going to the career office and like getting on their ass and be like, yo, I really wanna put pedal to the metal, like, let's get this shit going. Like, I'm tired of being broke. Like, that literally, I know I'd be broke for like another year or two, but hey, is what it is. Tom Joyce, he's been battering my back, real bedrock to a lot of the moves I've been making my career. Basically was like, hey, like, love your ambition, love your drive. Here's an internship opportunity at Earhole Studios. They like do a lot of work related to like advertisements and like composing music and mixing for ads. They've done stuff for the Super Bowl. They helped do the jingle for McDonald's before the ba 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 ba. I'm loving it. Like, they did the jingle before that. Got to sit in on sessions where we were making music for Nintendo, like just cool shit all around. That was a nice foot in the industry. Then Tom hooked me up with Saba, because Saba, Day and Pivot Gang were looking for an intern. They put a blast on IG, but I hadn't seen because I wasn't like tapped into what they had going on. And had heard Saba, grew up listening to him. Everybody knows the verse from Chance from Ask Rap. Had heard Bucket List, so I was familiar with his work, but I was just like, oh, like, what does he need an intern for? And basically it was just to like help record, like help do some pre-mix work, help them make like synth patches because they had like 2 or 3 vintage synths, and just general upkeep of the studio. They were crafting their Pivot Gang album at the time, so I got to like be involved in that as well. Papi was cool enough to like let me help out with some of the recording, some of the mixing, and I got to just like pick up a lot of game from watching him do the bulk of the mixing of that album. Then after that, my time with them started to feel like it was coming to an end, and hit up Papi, asked if I could be his intern. He's like, sure. And then after a couple months, intern work kind of led to more assistant work where like I was doing a lot of recording and just helping him again with like pre-mix stuff. And when he was out of town recording artists and he wasn't there, got to record Ferg once. That was really cool because he was out of town. Stefan Ponce, I forget how he pronounces his last name. But he did a lot of work for like Childish Gambino and like has a bunch of creds. great producer, great guy. He basically was like, oh, we're going, like my friend Sid Saram, who's like a fire Indian artist, got to work with him as well, very talented guy. He's like, oh, he's in town, like he's trying to link with Ferg, because Ferg is doing like a festival thing. Well, actually, no, that's not even, I'm doing it way more calm than it actually was. I like had just gone off work and he just is like, and my phone like rings, I'm talking to somebody, I feel it go off, I'm like, oh, I'm gonna call whoever back, and then I feel it buzzing again, I'm like, oh, okay, let me just check, like, because anytime I feel my phone ring twice, I'm like, damn, it might be some family shit, like, I haven't lived near a single family member since I was 18, I'm 26 now, so I'm like, oh shit, let me just check in, and I see him, and I'm like, oh, yo, what's good, man, like, I'm gonna be there in like a couple of hours. He's like, yo, Ferg tonight, and I was like, okay, and then like I asked the details, and then it was much more calm, but he's just like, yo, I need somebody. Like, I'm not trying to run Pro Tools. So we go up to Northwestern, we get to watch Ferg perform, literally like front row, like where the press would be at. Like, we got driven in like, you know what I mean, the golf cart shit, like we've done like VIP at a festival, that shit is so nice. That was my first time like getting to do that, and I was like, oh, this is hard. I will never buy GA again. Like, yeah, it's like, oh, I'll never do that shit again. Like, and then as soon as he comes off stage, he like taps us up. He's like, yo, like, you know, my tour bus is like, just have him drive you. And so we drive over and we just kicking it. And then like after talking to Steph and Sid, he was just like, yo, like who's this? And I was like, oh yeah, I'm the engineer, like nice to meet you, bro, whatever. He's like, oh, where you from? And I was like, Brooklyn, nigga. He's like, oh shit, why didn't y'all tell me? And the security guard just like took a real liking to me afterwards, and he was this big dude, I'm blanking on his name, he's a big light-skinned dude. He's just like, oh, you're from Brooklyn? And just started cracking hella jokes and just like kept like, you know, like in a friendly way, like hitting me in the chest. But I was like, bro, your arm weighs half of me, man. Like, and so, you know, we all cracking jokes, we have a good time. And he's like, okay, cool, you know what I mean? Like, you know, we'll slide through, me, security, my DJ, and like, you know, the girls we've been hanging out with, we'll slide through in a little bit. And, you know what I mean? Got to record Ferg. It was real cool. The song never came out, but it was called like Wildcats or something. It was cool. And, you know what I mean? He played us like all of his album that was unreleased, which was the last one he put out. It was really cool. It was just a dope night, man. You know what I mean? Like, shout out Ferg. Gave me a free bottle of Hennessy. Like, what I specialize in is like mixing, but I'm also like a really good recording engineer. And I'm a decent mastering engineer. In terms of recording, it is what it sounds like. You record the artist, you make like a quick demo mix, but really like recording engineers are very important because you're there at the inception of the song. You're making sure it sounds right. That's where the mix starts. That's where everything starts. After that, there's a mix engineer who basically like takes all that, cleans it up, gives the song like the right feel, like gets rid of like all the unnecessary information in terms of like the frequencies, and is really able to just push the emotion of the song based on the frequencies, compression, so on and so forth. Then the mastering engineer takes all that, listens to it, is very objective and gets rid of things like small notches or boosts and small notches, or sometimes doesn't touch it at all. And their job is to just like make things radio ready, Spotify ready, so on and so forth. I wear all three hats. I would say I'm best at mixing, then recording, then mastering. Outside of that, then you've got producers versus beat maker. This is where shit hits the gray, cloudy area. I feel like a producer is really someone who can like synthesize the idea as well. So sometimes that might be pairing the right beat maker with the right artist, or, you know what I mean, taking the right sample for the right artist. But basically you can like see a song through from the beginning to the end really, and just be a guiding light the entire time. A beat maker I more so look at as like a composer. That's the word I would go with, because I feel like beat makers now like has like a dirty connotation to it. I would call them composers because it's like, you know, you're crafting the vibe, you're crafting the musical bed that like the artist is gonna hop on. And sometimes, you know, some composers are good and like can produce and direct like the artist, like, but also sometimes that might be the recording engineer who's kind of filling that producer role. So really I feel like as an industry it's a gray area because a lot of people can wear producer hats, but I feel like where you'll find the most overlap is kind of with somebody like me who like can make beats but also knows how to like record well and like generally guide an artist well to get a good performance out of them. To me, that all encompasses production.
What does it mean to executive produce rather than produce things?
Putting up the bread.
Yeah.
Like, if you're the executive producer, you're doing one of two things. You're putting up the bread, or you're the person who's helping to oversee it all. So like 40 executive producing a Drake album, but he's not producing on every track, and Drake clearly is the breadwinner in that whole situation. 40 is just the creative guiding light for it all. And maybe he's also putting up some of his bread, I don't know.
Would that make him a producer at that point though?
Yeah, but it's like, you might have somebody come in and produce one song and like guide Drake on that one song. It's like, okay, how do we get these 18 songs to feel like an album? You know, which 18 songs are we gonna pick? Like, so maybe like Drake did a song with Metro Boomin, and Metro's like real hands-on for that song.
Yeah.
But it's like, okay, well, now we gotta put these 18 songs together. And like 40's been with me from the start. He knows my sound, he knows how I'm gonna grow. So let me have 40, and he's gonna mix the album anyway. Let me have him be the person to come in and executive produce it. You know, FL is fantastic for making beats, man. That their limiter and the creativity you can find in it is just like I watch video tips about FL so I could do them in Abelton, because there's just so much creativity to be found in FL. It just doesn't entirely work for my brain. Like, I just feel clunky in it, but that's just because different dolls are like speaking different languages. So I'm just like, oof, it's like, for me, Ableton is like being able to speak Italian, and then FL would be Spanish, because it's like everybody uses FL. Like, and my Spanish is clunky. Like, so I'm getting through it, but I'm like, pero por qué? Like, como se dice? Like, I'm really struggling. So yeah, I'd say FL is just fantastic for being creative in it. You know, just for making like beats of all genres, honestly, because you could go from Monty Booker's sound to fucking 808 Mafia sound and FL and then some. Like, there are hella people that use FL that I think people will be surprised by. So, and I think all four are good. So I think that's what FL's strengths are. In terms of Pro Tools is great for recording, mixing. There are specific mastering softwares, but you can also get a great master out of it as well. I used to produce in Pro Tools when I started. Not for me. I know a couple producers who do that, like personally, who are just like really talented and get raw sounds out of it. Kudos to them. It doesn't work for me. Pro Tools is kind of like my first language. That would be like my English, where it's like, okay, cool. Like, I know how to use this software very well. Logic, I like Logic a lot. Clean interface, great. I would say if you don't have access to Pro Tools or any of these, and you have like a Mac, to go for Logic, because it's super affordable. I mean, FL is affordable too, but Logic is affordable, and I think it offers lifetime updates for free. Maybe not. I might be capped on that. I don't know. But it's just good, clean interface. The stock plugins are great. Like, and I know it just makes sense for different musical brains. Like, I think anybody could look at Logic and be like, facts, I understand what's going on. You can also do custom shortcuts too. So if you're more used to FL or Pro Tools or Ableton, you can like set it up so you have those custom quick keys or shortcuts. And Ableton, to me, is the best all around for all three. Just because you can make it sound like FL if you know what you're doing. You can record in it like it's Pro Tools. It's not perfect. You can also like mix kind of like you're in like Pro Tools or FL. Like, I get good demo mixes out of Ableton. I don't know, Ableton just makes sense. Like, I don't know, Saba and Day were the ones who put me onto it. And dare I say, they do good work. So
Dare I say, right?
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, so it works for me. But I'm a fan of all of them, honestly. I'm even a fan of Reason and Reaper. Like, as long as it works, it works. Still a goal I'm trying to reach, and I think all of us at No More Heroes are trying to reach, is to just have like a big impact on the culture. That's been my biggest thing, like, in the motif throughout my career, is I just want to have like an impact on the culture and know that it's being felt. Like, I don't need my name to be everywhere. Like, all that's cool. Love getting recognition. Love when people shout me out. All that's great, but just like, what helps me go to sleep at night is just being like, oh man, like, you know, got songs on the radio. Oh, I got to see artists I work with perform this and see people go crazy. You know what I mean? Like, that's just dope to me. Another goal has been buy my mama a crib. So, you know what I mean? Saving, working on that. We'll get there. And then, honestly, man, I just want to get to a point where I can just wake up and do what I want to do, work with the artists I want to work with. You know, getting there. I would say right now it's at about like 50-50, where it's like 50% of the time I'm working with artists that I'm genuinely locked in with. I understand their creative vision, where they're going, and then the other 50% of the time it's like, you know, meeting new people, you know, doing sessions, like, so I can, you know, have money to do the other stuff. Those would be like the big three for me right now off the dome. Oof. Hardest struggle was figuring out how to go with little to no sleep and be kind to myself as well as those around me. Like, on God. And that's still something I deal with. Not the being kind part, thank God. But just making sure it's a marathon, and oftentimes you'll want to sprint. Like today, you know what I mean? Doing a lot of hours, gonna be here for about like 14 hours total. It's really just, you know, trying to make sure that you're pacing yourself the right way has just been like a struggle from the beginning, even till now. But it changes, it morphs in different ways, because the busy I had in 2019 when I was like working with Pivot Gang isn't the busy that I have in 2023. Now I'm working with No More Heroes. And, you know, I genuinely believe that we're given as much as we can handle, and if we feel like we can't handle it, then there are people in our lives that we can like delegate those other roles to. I mean, that would probably be the biggest challenge. You know, there's that, and then also save your money if you're in this. like, cause you know, there'll be days where it's just, or weeks where it's just coming in, and then there'll be times where it's like, ooh, I haven't even made enough for a 4 for 4. Like, shit. Things just kind of hit a point where you're like, okay, like, here's what my price is. And I kind of stand on my price for the most part, just because I'm like, okay, well, you know, and I let artists know, like, if you can't afford that, then, you know, I can give you a demo mixing session. Here's what we charge hourly. You know what I mean? And if that doesn't work, then I'm probably not the guy for you. Yo, like, I can't give away free game, because there are people who are willing to pay me. You know, I charge indie artists like 150 to 200 a mix, and they're indie artists who are willing to pay that. And then for like industry artists who have like recording budgets, they get charged whatever their budget is, which might be a few $100s. Haven't gotten to that $1,000+ range yet, but it's usually gonna be $100 a song, bro. So, you know, it's really just become a kind of thing where it's like, I want to work with as many people as possible, but it's also just like, hey, if this person's willing to, you know, give me, if it's an indie or developing artist, they're willing to give me $200 a mix per song for like 10 songs, and you want me to do one song for 50, I gotta go with, you know, I gotta go this route. Like, I got to. Studio rules, man. A rule I always live by when I'm in another studio, and I feel like everybody should live by, is like, if you're not the artist, like, just relax, bro. Just relax, chill out. Engineer and producer, whoever's up there, they're doing their job. They need to, dare I say, here to do their job. Like, if you feel like you have like a crazy good idea, like, don't shout at the engineer to tell the person, because like, if the idea is trash, which in my experience it probably will be, you're gonna make me or us or whoever's in that seat like look bad. In situations like that, when someone's like, yo, tell him, I'm like, I will hit the talk back, and I'll be like, yo, you can tell him. Your guy has something he wants to tell you. And they're like, no, you. And I'm like, no, like, it was your idea. Like, because if it goes well, then, yo, good for you. Like, but if it doesn't blow back on me. Like, you know what I mean? Because we got 5 more hours in here, and like, you could go whenever. I've already got paid. I got to stay here. Like, in terms of rules outside of that, try not to make a mess, man. You're going to get charged for it. Like, you know, come in with a game plan of sorts. If you're not the best like freestyle artist, you know what I mean, come with some songs written. Don't pull up to the studio and ask the engineer for beats. Like, I make beats, but I probably haven't made beats with you in mind. And also, like, I tend to like get paid for the beats I make, or like the publishing splits are like with artists who stream decently well to fairly well. So it's like, okay, it makes sense. But like, if I don't know you, or you're not streaming that well, or whatever, like, it's not, the back end isn't what you think it is. Just in general, man, just like respect whoever's in the chair, man. Respect the people in the room. Like, you don't know who's who. You don't know who, like, you may have done some cool shit, which is dope, but you also don't know who this person's worked with or whatever. So just come in, be gracious, be happy to have like a dope creative space to work in. Just be happy, be gracious. Like, that goes a long way, and it makes, you know, the people on the staff want to accommodate you. Those would be my best piece of advice. And then randoms, just chill out, man. Just chill out. Please just chill out. Especially if you're in my session, just chill. Like, please chill. That's all I will say. Goals, man. Really be better about saving. I've been decent about it, but I want to like be really intentional. Like, I want to be like the dev, and everybody hates Chris about it. Like, just, you know what I mean? Like, yo, like, every penny is being accounted for. Outside of that, really helped to like break an artist in Chicago. Be a part of that process. Like, I feel like there are a few artists I'm excited about. Right now, top of the list is gonna be Mello Buckzz. Like, you know what I mean? We've been super duper locked in. Got her on a couple of my beats. I've been her mix engineer since day one, and like we have a really great vibe together. I think Steve-O's next up as well. OG Steve-O, he's got a great vibe going. Been lucky enough to become his like right hand man in terms of recording, and then, you know, he's got OG Mike Will to mix, so we've got a nice like creative trifecta is a great word. And honestly, of course, gotta go with my A1 AMG. Love her to death. You know what I mean? Still trying to figure out how like R&B can like have a space in Chicago outside of like just sounding like straight commercial. I think like Raven Lene is like a good guiding light for that, but like where else can it go has been my question. So yeah, definitely wanting to help break artists this year. Outside of that, I really want another platform. I like technically have one, but I want it where it's not no technicality, where it's like, no, that is yours. Those would definitely be like my musical goals. In terms of personal, I just want to go on a few vacations. I only took like one last year, so I'm gonna take like 3 or 4 this year. Like, just, you know what I mean? I'm gonna take like 3 or 4 week vacations each and just enjoy the world, enjoy life a little bit. Shit, man, that's pretty much it. Man, I don't know, make some dumb clothes purchases. That's all I got. That's all I got. That's it.
Nice, boy. We done.
My guy. Thank you. Appreciate you. All love.
Hell yeah.
I gotta show you B room too.
Please.
Woo! No, you're good. You're a good ass interviewer too, man.